Good morning, children. Welcome back to your geography class. Let's begin with the next chapter, that is chapter 3. And the name of the lesson is Humidity and Clouds. So, in this chapter, we are going to learn about formation of clouds, different types of clouds, and humidity. Now, in this page, children, on the picture which is given to you all, you can see there are three different pictures. In the first picture, the conversation which is given is the man in the picture is saying, "It's a very sunny day today. The wind has stopped blowing. I foresee sandstorm. Let's go quickly inside the house." The lady replies, "Yes, even I feel the same. Come, let's go fast." Coming to the next picture, you can see two men walking together. The first person says, "Buddy, it is very hot today." The second person replies, "Yes, Soham, I am literally soaked because of the sweat." In the third picture, children, you can see that there are two children playing and the mother is saying something. The mother says, "Children, come fast, wear your sweaters and then play again." And the girl replies, "Mummy, please wait, let us play, please." Now, children, generally we keep talking about the weather conditions. We can identify the weather condition through the conversation above. We experience the dampness or dryness in the air throughout the year. The changes occurring in the weather conditions in desert areas, coastal areas, and mountainous areas is evident from the figures. The first picture which you see is of Rajasthan. Rajasthan lies in a region with dry and hot air. There is hardly any moisture in the air. People wear loose cotton clothes. Now, children, if you see the picture, you'll get an idea how actually Rajasthan is. The air there is dry and hot. In the next picture, in the textbook, which is shown, the third picture is of Kashmir. Kashmir Valley lies in a region with cold and dry air. Moisture is minimal in the air. People cover themselves with warm clothes to protect themselves from the cold weather. Now, the second picture which you see is of Mumbai. In Mumbai, the air is hot and humid. There, the proportion of moisture is very high in the air. In addition, if dark clouds cover the sky, the content of moisture in the air increases. In the above discussion, the word hot, moist, cool, etc. show the condition of the air. They relate to the content of the moisture in the air. Moisture in the air is invisible, but it is a major component of air which is taken into consideration while discussing the weather of any place. For precipitation to occur in any place, presence of moisture in the air is very important. Now, children, precipitation means anything which comes down from the sky. It can be in the form of rain, snow, hailstone, etc. To know about any weather condition, we must first know about the moisture. What is the amount of moisture which is there in the air, etc. Major component of air which it is taken into consideration is moisture. Let's start with the next topic, that is evaporation. Evaporation is the process of converting water into steam or water vapor. Because of the sun's heat, The water on the earth gets converted into water vapor. The process of evaporation is dependent on the dryness, temperature, and the speed of the wind. See in the above picture, children, you can see that wind, temperature, and evaporation. Now here it is said that the process of evaporation is dependent on the dryness, the temperature, and the speed of the wind. So all these three components are important to know or to carry out the process of evaporation. Now, if the air is dry and hot, the rate of evaporation increases. Now children, always keep in mind, when the air is dry but hot, that means the moisture is less in the air but it is hot, so that time the rate of evaporation will be high or it increases. In the same way, the process of evaporation continues even in dry and cold air. On the other hand, evaporation occurs very slowly in moist areas or moisture. When there is moisture in the air, the rate of evaporation becomes less or it becomes slow. If the velocity and temperature of the air is high, then evaporation occurs rapidly. Now, suppose the velocity of temperature and the air is high, that means it is very hot. That time the evaporation takes place very rapidly. In the next place, if you see the wind is blowing slowly and the air is cooler, then evaporation occurs slowly. Now you must always keep in mind, children, when the rate of evaporation is high, when the temperature is hot and the air is dry. Now same time, if you see, if the temperature of the air is high, the evaporation occurs rapidly, whereas if the air is cooler, the evaporation happens slowly. Now children, in your lower classes you all have learned about the water cycle. That time you know or you have learned about this word evaporation and you have understood it in a deeper sense. So the basic concept which you all learned that time was that when the sun's heat falls on the ocean, the water gets heated up and it starts evaporating or it starts forming steam, and then it goes up in the air in the form of evaporation and forms clouds. That was the basic part of evaporation which you all have learned in your lower classes. Now you understood that not only the heat but the air also matters, whether the moisture is low or high in the air, that also matters in the rate of evaporation. Moving ahead, children, we are going to learn about the humidity in the air. Now, the proportion of water vapor in the air is called its humidity. Now, how much amount of water vapor is present in the air, when you measure that is known as humidity. The dryness or dampness of the air depends on the proportion of water vapor. Now, what type of evaporation is taking place in a particular region, that marks the humidity of that particular area. Now, air can hold moisture in specific quantity at specific temperature only. As air cools down, its moisture holding capacity decreases. Now children, listen carefully. When the air cools down, okay, the moisture holding capacity of the air reduces. Yes, it becomes cold and the holding capacity reduces. This implies that warmer air can hold more moisture than cold air. Now keep this thing in your mind. Always remember that if the air is cool, the moisture holding capacity is less, whereas when the air is warmer, It can hold more of moisture. At a certain temperature, the moisture holding capacity of air becomes equal to the proportion of moisture present in it. Now, at times what happens is, at a certain temperature, the moisture holding capacity of the air also becomes the same of the proportion of moisture which is present in it. This condition of air is called as saturation of the air. Once again, children, when the temperature and the moisture present in the air becomes the same, this condition of the air is known as saturation of the air. At this state, no more moisture can be observed by the air. Understood, children? What is saturation of the air? The saturation of the air is when the moisture holding capacity of the air becomes equal to the proportion of moisture present in it. This condition of air is called saturation of the air. Okay, now moving ahead, look at the screen, children, your textbook page. There is an activity which is given. Let's see what it is. Carry out the following activity in your group. Take a colander or a tray which is deeper in the center. Take a piece of sponge. On the flat part of the tray, make holes with the help of nails. Keep the sponge on the center of the tray. Make sure there is no water in the sponge. Pour water on the sponge with a big spoon. The student in the group should note how many spoons of water have been poured. Keep pouring water with the spoon till the sponge becomes wet with water. Note what happens if you keep pouring water even after that. Now answer the following questions. Now children, if we would have been in the school, we would have surely done this experiment in the classroom. But as it is not possible for us to do it, we can just try to imagine what can happen. Or you can try it at homes if you have a piece of sponge. Now what happens is, I'll tell you, when you keep on pouring water, at a certain time you will find that the sponge keeps on absorbing the water, and if you see that there's no leakage of water from the tray, because the sponge is absorbing all the water which you are pouring in it. But at a certain time, when you keep on pouring the water continuously, you will find that the water starts seeping from the holes which are there in the tray. Why does it happen? Because at a certain time the sponge loses its capacity, or it is filled with water and cannot absorb more of water, and hence the excess water starts seeping out from the holes. Now see children, what questions are asked below. What happened to the water which was poured initially? When you initially pour the water, obviously the sponge is dry and it absorbs all the water quickly. When you were pouring water on the sponge, what did you expect? When we were pouring water, we would have expected that it will absorb all the water which is being poured. What happened when you poured more water on the sponge? Now after keeping on pouring water, you must have observed that the sponge is becoming wet. What conclusion can we draw from this? That after seeing this experiment, you come to know that after a certain time, the water which is already absorbed by the sponge starts seeping from below, because the amount of water which it has absorbed is too much and it cannot take more of water. Hence the sponge starts shedding out the water from the tray. Are you all understanding, children? Okay, let's suppose that the air is like the piece of sponge. How many spoons of water does the sponge absorb? After the sponge is full of water, drop of water starts trickling out. One can tell the number of spoons of water required to make the water trickle down the sponge by observation. Okay, when you keep on pouring the water with the help of a spoon, after a certain time you will find that the water starts seeping out. So you can keep a count on the spoons of water which you are pouring. For example, 20 spoons if you have poured and the sponge is totally wet, and then afterwards it starts. So we can say that 20 spoons of water was observed by the sponge, but later on it started seeping. This implies that the water holding capacity of the sponge is fulfilled. This makes it saturated. Similarly, when the proportion of moisture in the air exceeds in water vapor holding capacity, precipitation in the form of rain or snow occurs on the earth. Yes, so when the proportion of moisture is very high or it exceeds the vapor holding capacity, then the precipitation takes place. That means it comes down in the form of a rain or snow, etc. The moisture holding capacity of the air depends on its temperature. Higher the temperature, higher is the holding capacity. Suppose it's very hot, then it can hold more of moisture. We have learned earlier that as we go higher in the sky, the air becomes cooler. So, as per this rule, as we go higher, the vapor holding capacity of the air will decrease. Okay, children? So, as we have learned in the lower classes, when you go higher or when you reach a higher level, the air there is cooler, so the water vapor holding capacity also will be less. Let's do a short revision of what we have learned today in the lesson. First, we started with the different condition of various places like Rajasthan, Kashmir and Mumbai. We saw that all the three places have a different temperature, have a different atmosphere. Okay, now after that we learned evaporation, and finally we learned the humidity in the air. So for today we'll stop here and we'll continue with the same lesson in the next video, where we'll be learning more about humidity. Okay, children, I hope you all have understood very well. Still, if you have any doubt, you can join in the doubt clearing session. The link will be sent and then you can join in and clear your doubts. Thank you. Have a nice day.